to gather together, to stand strong and united as we try to heal and face this tragic event that took place in our city. We need to stand strong. We need to come together. So please help us to heal and join me in my thoughts and prayers for the families and those lives that have been lost. Thank you.
And thank you, Mayor. Now, Las Cruces Police Chief Jeremy Story.
Thank you all for being here this morning. I want to begin by thanking our law enforcement partners who assisted us during this tragedy and the chaos that ensued last night. Thank you to New Mexico State Police, the Dona County Sheriff's Office. Thank you to the FBI and ATF who were there last night and continue to help us with this investigation. This news conference is to give an update on a mass casualty incident, mass shooting that occurred last night on 3/21/2025 at Young Park, which is located at 1905 Nevada Avenue. There was an unsanctioned car show at the park prior to this shooting. The call for the gunshot victims came in at approximately 10:10 p.m., again on 3/21/2025. The investigation so far reveals that there was an altercation between two groups of people, and that altercation escalated to gunfire between both groups. Several other people were also injured in the crossfire. Officers arrived on the scene and began treating people immediately while trying to deal with the chaos of that situation. Bystanders, some of them had already started administering treatment. Las Cruces Fire arrived very quickly, and they began immediately rendering aid despite the fact that the scene was not secure yet. Las Cruces Fire Chief Michael Daniels will give a quick summary here in a minute of the treatment that was provided and some of the transport. But as of right now, there are 15 people that are injured and 3 that have passed away. This is a huge crime scene with a lot of moving parts. It will take time to process it thoroughly and reopen everything. We're asking for anyone who witnessed the shooting to contact us by calling 575-526-0795. That's Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority. If anyone has relevant video or photos, we ask that they please upload them to the link that was provided on our Facebook page so that we can go through that and find the leads and ultimately hold the suspects accountable. I do want to correct a few things that are circulating, especially on social media. The person holding an AR-15 in the photo that's being distributed has already been interviewed. At this time, we do not believe he was involved in the shooting, although it's obviously a problem that he's out there with an AR-15 in his hand. But at this time, we do not believe he was involved in the shooting. He has been contacted already. Casings have been located throughout the park and parking lot. Again, it's a huge scene. All of the casings located so far are handgun caliber casings. There are no rifle casings consistent with an AK or AR style rifle. In fact, there's no rifle casings that have been located at all so far. They're all handgun casings. At this time, Las Cruces Fire Chief Michael Daniels will give a summary of the treatment that was provided and where patients were transported. Chief.
Good morning and thank you. As of right now, last night we had 25 members of Las Cruces Fire Department that responded to the incident. We had members from our local partners, American Medical Response, and Native Air, who assisted in the transport and movement of victims, as well as all 3 local hospitals affected. As Chief Story said, we have 18 total victims, and as reported in the news release, ages ranging 16 to 36. 7 patients were treated on scene. 11 patients presented to local departments. 2 were pronounced dead on scene. 4 were transported locally, and 1 was flown to El Paso for treatment. The overall status that we have for right now is 3 patients are deceased. 7 have been sent from local hospitals to El Paso for further treatment. 4 patients have been treated and released. And we don't have a status for the remaining 4 patients at this time. We're waiting on updates from our local hospitals. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. This horrendous, senseless act is a stark reminder of the blatant disregard people in New Mexico have for the rule of law and order. It's also a reminder of the just the utter lack of fear of accountability in New Mexico. As angry as I am right now, this news conference will not be political. There will come a time to talk about the failures that led to this tragedy and so many others in New Mexico, but now is not that time. There are 3 priorities right now. The first priority is to support the families and loved ones of those who are affected. Some of them need prayers as they go through the loss of a loved one and they grieve. Others need your prayers as their loved ones fight for their lives in hospitals throughout the borderland. There are a lot of hurting people right now in our community. Our next focus is the apprehension of those involved and those responsible for this atrocity. We will find each and every one of them, and we will hold them accountable to the criminal justice system. We also need to do a thorough and meticulously documented investigation. This goes hand in hand with holding those people responsible and accountable. There's still a lot that is unknown and being pieced together. And we will try to answer the questions we can, but we will not speculate or give opinions that are not based on facts. And one last thing I want to say before we get to questions is I'm very proud of the response of not only our officers, but our firefighters, disregarding their own safety to provide treatment and ultimately, I believe, saving several lives by rushing in spite of the fact that they did not know it was safe to do so. So again, Chief, hats off to your firefighters.
And actually, before we get to questions for any of our speakers, I would like to mention that Las Cruces Police and the City of Las Cruces are partnering with the Community Foundation of Southern New Mexico. They are will be holding a fundraiser for the victims of this incident. We'll have the information on this live feed, and then I'll be able to get that information to our Facebook page, the Las Cruces Police Department's Facebook page, later on today. If you would, when I come up to you, mention your name and your affiliation, and then you ask your question. And we'll start over here on this side.
And while Dan is doing that, we'll try to have the appropriate person answer the question if we can, again, based on what we know at this time.
Hi there, this is Johnny Coker with KRWG Public Media. I was just wondering, you mentioned there was an altercation between 2 groups. Has there been any arrests in connection with what happened last night, or anyone detained?
There have not been arrests or anyone detained. We have leads that we're pursuing, but we are also asking the public or anyone that might have information to please provide that to assist us.
Algernon DeMassa, Albuquerque Journal. Do you have a sense of how many casings have been collected so far?
Yes, sir. I'm Lieutenant Bradley with the Police Department. Right now, I don't want to speculate and give an inaccurate number, but we believe that there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 60.
Jason Groves with the Las Cruces Sun News. Chief Story, you mentioned an unsanctioned car show. Was there any police presence throughout the evening at the car show? And can you just characterize the Young Park area in terms related to crime historically here?
Yeah, I don't know for sure the answer to the first part of your question, so again, I don't want to speculate. This is an issue we've had for a long time. We've been trying to deal with it. We worked with Parks and Recreation to install gates at the park so that at 11 o'clock when the park closes, we can cut it off. This happened before 11 p.m., obviously. But that area has been troubled with crime more so in recent years, and I spoke about it during an interim committee meeting recently about the level of violence we've seen in that park. So in spite of some of the efforts, we are still struggling with that, obviously.
Selena Madrid, KFOX 14. Can you just quickly confirm, was it 14 or 15 injured?
So 15 injured and 3 deceased as of right now, ma'am.
Okay, and then could you just elaborate a little bit more on these unsanctioned car shows? Are they a pretty big problem in our area?
They are, and they've kind of ebbed and flowed, partly with weather and other things, but so they've become an issue. We've kind of dealt with it, done some projects, and then they're less of an issue, and then they kind of creep back up. But definitely a problem.
Jesus Baltasar, KTSM 9 News. The people who were killed, do we know if they were exchanging gunfire, running away as the shots were being fired?
I cannot answer that. I don't know if Lieutenant Bradley can provide. Not this time that we can verify.
Algernon again, Albuquerque Journal. How does LCPD handle car shows? Gatherings are legal, but at a certain point, do police intervene? And do you anticipate changing how that is approached subsequent to this incident?
Well, those are difficult circumstances. For one, I'm not going to send a single officer in to deal with something like that. And so I have to have the resources to be able to handle it effectively. And that means if they were just gathering and nothing was occurring that was illegal, then I have no issue with that. The problem is what tends to occur is a lot of illegal behavior with the vehicles. And then also, in this case, I mean, there were firearms throughout this entire event. Some that were used in the shooting and just people with firearms willy-nilly throughout the hours leading up to it, based on the video that's been provided so far to us. And so dealing with them is difficult, but we have to deal with them with resources, take enforcement action. Our last project that we ran last year was a zero tolerance approach to the violations that we had.
And then, what is your message to the community? Obviously, a lot of information circulating online. We're seeing a lot of video. You mentioned the correction for the person that was holding that weapon. What is your message to them in regards to putting that information on social media? Is it harmful to the investigation at all? Selena with KFOX 14.
So it can go both ways, and I understand people are trying to help, and we appreciate that. So what I would ask is that if they're circulating and posting it, to at least share it with us through the link so that we ensure that we have it. But just be careful what you post, because I'm sure most of them don't want to or are not intentionally hampering the investigation. And we will try to put out corrected information if there is misinformation that's harming the investigation.
Additional questions? Hold on, let me go back this way.
Justin Garcia, Albuquerque Journal. Can you, I mean, you touched on this before, but I'm sure you're aware that these illegal car shows happen very frequently in the Young Park parking lot. Can you kind of explain why there was not more police presence in these sorts of scenarios? And then my follow-up question is, one of the people who I spoke to who was at the event mentioned that typically the process is as soon as their racing begins or any kind of like doing donuts in the parking lot begins, that's usually when the police department comes in and sweeps through the area, but that didn't occur this time.
Yeah, so the answer is if I had, well, in a perfect world where I had 220 police officers like I'm supposed to, it probably would have been different last night. But I had no units available for most of the night prior to the shooting. And so, I mean, logistically, I got what I got, right? If I don't have any officers available, they can't respond. And so I wish it would have been different, but it wasn't for lack of trying or because we didn't want to respond.
Hello, Miguel Contreras from Univision. With all the caskets found, are they all from the same arm, or are we looking at multiple arms being used in this event?
We don't know how many firearms, but definitely more than one. There's multiple firearms that were involved.
Right here, Chief.
This is Josue with Telemundo. Information, any description of the person of interest regarding the shooting?
We have very limited information right now. I'm not sure there's anything I can put out that's going to be accurate. We're still trying to vet the information. So if we have something to put out, we will update it after the news conference.
Other questions? Let me come here first.
Jesus Baltazar, KTSM 9 News. Can you confirm if we were out there last night, if all the shooting occurred in the parking lot? I saw investigators also go to the area of the park just to look around.
I'll have Lieutenant Bradley answer that.
So to answer your question, sir, as right now, the majority of the shooting did take place in the parking lot. However, we did find fired cartridge casings throughout the park near the restroom areas and down towards the streets. We are still continuing to canvass and make sure that there are no other casings throughout the park. As you're well aware, it's a very large park, so it's taking time to do it meticulously.
Okay, back here.
Justin Garcia, Albuquerque Journal. The city has invested in park rangers for parks, and I'm just curious, were they at all involved in this? Was that something that was on their radar? Can you just kind of fill us in on that?
Now, our park rangers just graduated the academy, and now they're doing their field training program. So unfortunately, it takes a while to produce even someone who's a non-sworn officer or non-commissioned officer. So they're not out actively on their own right now.
Back here, Chief.
Jessica Ansudes with the Las Cruces Sun News. Chief, if you have any details about what might have initiated the altercation, and as a follow-up question, how many people approximately were in the park at this time?
So for the first part of the question, we know that there was some type of ill will between these groups prior to last night. So They had some issues before, and it escalated last night. As far as an estimate, do we have an estimate? Approximately 200, but again, that's an approximation.
Okay, additional questions? Right here.
Johnny with KRWG again. Just to follow up a little on what Justin was talking about, besides the park rangers, what steps has LCPD taken in recent months to improve safety at parks, especially at night? Has there been any sort of effort in that way?
Yeah, so I already mentioned at Young Park specifically, we worked with Parks and Recreation to install those gates so we can close off the parking lot when it closes by ordinance. And so we've been doing that. Unfortunately, somebody hit one of the gates pretty early on and it's damaged and it has to be repaired. The other thing that we're in the process of is installing technology in the parks as part of our real-time crime center, which is already paid for, but unfortunately has not been installed yet. That would have been very, very helpful in this situation, but it wasn't there yet.
Any others? Okay, I think we're done. Again, remember, we'll be posting a link on our police department's Facebook page. That will be a link to the fundraiser. We appreciate any shares you can help with that. And also, as far as another news conference, we probably will have another one, but we haven't scheduled it right now. Keep watching for news releases and/or information on our Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you.